From the archive of forgotten things, I bring you one case. Ancient parchments whisper of regicide and betrayal. In 978, a teenage king was stabbed in the back at Corfe Castle, and no one was ever punished. Let us begin with the boy himself. Edward was crowned King of the English in 975 after the death of his father, Edgar. He was perhaps 13 years old. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records his accession plainly. A child handed a fragile crown. England in these years was a divided realm. Powerful nobles, rival church factions, and a royal family split by ambition. Edward ruled, but he did not rule unopposed. Behind him waited a half-brother, and a stepmother with plans of her own. The half-brother was Ælfthryth, later remembered as the Unready. A child still, his claim to the throne rested entirely on the ambitions of his mother, Ælfthryth. While Edward lived, Ælfthryth could only wait. On the 18th of March, 978, Edward rode to Corfe Castle in Dorset. He came to visit his stepmother and his half-brother. He came, the chronicles say, in friendship, unarmed, unsuspecting, a guest at his own family's door. What happened next became England's first great murder mystery. As the king arrived, he was offered a cup of wine, and while he drank, or while he sat upon his horse, a blade found his back. He did not die at once. According to the chronicle, the wounded boy spurred his horse to flee, and fell. Dragged by the stirrup, his lifeblood marking the path, the young King of England died in the dirt outside the castle gate. Here is what makes this case haunt me. A king lay dead, killed in his own family's house, and no arrest followed, no trial, no execution. Silence, where there should have been justice. So who held the knife, and who in the shadows gave the order? To solve a murder, you need a record, and here the records betray us. The chroniclers who wrote of Edward's death cannot agree on how it even happened. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle states bluntly that he was killed, but names no murderer and offers no motive. It is the closest thing to a contemporary witness, and it stays carefully, deliberately vague. Later writers filled the silence. William of Malmesbury and John of Worcester, writing generations afterward, added vivid detail. The cup of wine, the treacherous welcome, the hand that struck. But the further from the event they wrote, the more certain and more dramatic they became. This is the trap of medieval evidence. The earliest source says least, the richest detail comes latest. Was the wine real or a storyteller's flourish? Was the blade in the back fact, or the shape later writers gave to a crime they were certain was a betrayal? Yet one fact survives untouched by chroniclers' pens. Edward's body was not given a king's funeral. It was carried away and buried quietly at Wareham, without ceremony, without honor, as if someone wished him forgotten. And then, the succession. Within weeks, the young Ælfthryth was king. The boy who could only wait while Edward lived now wore the crown. The timing was not lost on those who watched. A death, and immediately a beneficiary. Now the suspects gather. The first and the most accused by history is the stepmother, Ælfthryth. Edward died at her castle under her roof. Her son inherited everything. To many chroniclers, that was answer enough. But proximity is not proof. No source places the knife in her hand. The legend that she personally lured and killed her stepson grew over centuries, a story too neat, too symmetrical for the messy truth of a royal court. A second theory points wider, to the nobles. Edward was said to be hot-tempered, harsh to powerful men. Perhaps a faction of his stepmother's retainers acted on their own, currying favor with the heir they preferred. A coup not commanded, but understood. And a third reading, quietly unsettling, that the killing was sudden and unplanned. A quarrel at a gate, a retainer's blade drawn in anger. Not a conspiracy at all, but a chaos that everyone afterward found it convenient to leave unexamined. Whatever the truth, the silence afterward is the loudest evidence of all. A king was murdered, and the legal records hold no investigation, no accusation, no punishment. In a realm that prized law, that absence speaks of power protecting itself. So we have 3 suspects and no verdict, a 1,000-year-old cold case. But the story takes one final turn, for the murdered boy, dishonored in death, was about to be transformed. And what happened next would reshape how the crime was remembered forever. Within a few years, Edward's hidden grave at Wareham became a site of reported miracles. The boy buried in shame was exhumed and carried in solemn procession to Shaftesbury Abbey, reburied there with the honors he had been denied. Folklore claims wonders at his tomb, and in time the murdered king became Edward the Martyr, a saint. The hagiographies that record his miracles also recorded his death, casting it as wicked betrayal. The crime became a legend. The legend, in turn, became the evidence. Centuries later, the case reopened in a way the chroniclers never imagined. In 1931, and in examinations after, bones believed to be Edward's were studied. The findings confirmed a young man and trauma consistent with violence. The chronicles, on this point at least, told the truth. But forensics can confirm a wound. It cannot name a killer. The science proves Edward died violently, exactly as the parchments whispered. It cannot tell us who climbed those steps with a blade, nor whose ambition guided the hand. And so it rests. The earliest well-documented regicide in English history. A teenage king, murdered at his family's gate, his death covered by silence and crowned by miracle. No arrest, no trial, no proven name. After more than 1,000 years, Corfe Castle keeps its secret still. The archive never truly closes. It only waits for the next curious mind. Subscribe for more medieval cold cases and hit the bell so the next forgotten crime finds its way to you.